makes most women start a business? Is it passion, money, or freedom? Welcome to Female Founders, the podcast that takes you behind the scene with women who are founders and CEOs to help you start and scale a successful business of your own. I am your host, Nagelia de Ravin.
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Female Founders. In today's episode, I have the pleasure of speaking with Lani Medina. Lani is a senior associate at Barton LLP, specializing in corporate law with a focus on business deals, joint ventures, and investment. With experience in diverse industries and a strong background in legal compliance and corporate governance, she offers expert advice and representation to a wide range of clients.
Good morning, Lani. Thank you so much for giving me that chance to have this conversation with you. Could you describe your early life and what inspired you to interest in law?
Thank you. First, I want to thank you for having me here. I'm so excited. I'm excited for the opportunity. You asked, what inspired me to become a lawyer, right? My journey is really interesting. I decided to become a lawyer when I was working at Columbia University. I was a part-time student there, and I worked in the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences. And I took a political theory class, and it was taught in the Socratic method. And all the lawyers out there would probably laugh at this, but I actually fell in love with the Socratic method and what I thought was the idea of learning how to think like a lawyer. Like, I didn't know what lawyers did, but I was in love with the idea of thinking like a lawyer. And so instead of pursuing a PhD, I decided to become a lawyer instead. But the funny part of all of this is that once I started law school, I was terrified of the Socratic method. but that was the real reason. That's what inspired me.
That's the real reason behind it. But pretty much you didn't want, you are not that child that growing up as a kid say, hey, I'm going to become a lawyer or anything like that.
No, not at all. I mean, there are no lawyers in my family. I'm still the first lawyer in my family. The thought never occurred to me. I never even took the SAT. I joined the military right out of high school. And my journey and path towards becoming a lawyer actually started out in the military right out of high school. Then I worked in higher ed for a few years, and eventually, I became a lawyer. And now I'm looking to kind of combine my background in higher ed with my love of practicing law. But anyway, so to your point, I really didn't have any role models, and so that's why I feel an obligation to pay it forward.
To be one.
It's important for me to find meaning in my practice. And paying it forward is a huge part of that.
But how did your service in the United States Air Force influence your approach to your legal career?
My experience in the Air Force is crucial to my practice today. I'm a deal lawyer in the corporate M&A space, and what that basically means is that I represent buyers and sellers when they want to buy or sell a business or maybe have a merger. And so anyway, the skills that I've sort of acquired from the Air Force that I use in my practice today, number one, include attention to detail, organization. I have strong leadership skills, because when you're a deal lawyer, you're working on multiple parts of a deal, and you have to find a system to keep that all in place. And for me, I learned to do that while I was in the Air Force. And not only did I learn how to, those sort of practical soft skills, I also learned how to interact with people from different parts of the country. Was really important to me because I was born and raised in the Bronx. And so when I joined the Air Force, I was stationed in Wichita, Kansas. It was a huge culture shock for me. And now it works in my favor, because as a deal lawyer, a lot of what I do is negotiating, and you can use anything as negotiation leverage, right? And so in terms of my military experience, you know, all the skills that I have in terms of my integrity and work ethic today that I use in my practice, I acquired, from the Air Force initially, which
Yeah.
was a long time ago, and yet it's still probably the most formative part of my professional career.
Yeah, a long time ago, but stay with you forever, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I mean, I still have, friends that I keep in touch with, and it's amazing to see what we've all done in our lives. Not only just friends, but female friends that I've kept in touch with. And for me, it's important to have a community that helps keep me grounded. And so being able to reach out to my friends who are non-lawyers is actually essential to me. I think I need that balance. Um, and so I think I forgot the first part of the question, to be honest.
It's
Yeah.
okay, you answered already.
Oh, okay.
So, what motivated you to join Barton LLP, and how does it align with your career goals?
Uh, it's really funny because I never thought I would wind up back at a law firm. I started out my career in law sort of the traditional way, meaning that I started out at two big law firms, Clifford Chance and K&L Gates, and then I had an opportunity to go in house, and basically I worked at a company called Pet Vet Care Centers where I was senior corporate counsel, and they were acquiring all of these veterinary practices, and I was working on those deals. So immediately prior to joining Barton, I was an in-house attorney, and I thought I'd never go back to a law firm. Um, but the thing is I feel like there was a calling for me. At a certain point of time, the deals slowed down, and I was fully remote, and I feel like I was starting to get, I guess, too comfortable with being fully remote, and I wanted a change. And I sort of just jumped on this opportunity on impulse, to be honest, which is really funny because I'm not a huge risk taker, but I guess it was a calculated risk that I took. And here I am over a year later, and I'm in the process of growing my practice right now, and it feels right. This place is a really good fit for me because the lawyers here, we care about our work. We're really good at what we do, and we're looking to provide services that are value based, and we're looking to kind of partner with our clients and not just be their attorneys. We're their advisors as well. So for me, it's been fun. It's different for sure, but I'm very happy to be here. And there are a couple of initiatives that I'm working on this year that I'm excited about as well. So it all worked out. It was a good fit.
So you took a big risk, but it was the right one.
It felt right, and you know what? I think everybody kind of has a knowing in them, right? Like I think this is universal, not just applicable to lawyers. I think a lot of times we start our professional careers, and we do everything that we think we're supposed to do, and we're capable of doing it, but we're not happy. We're reaching our goals, but something is missing. And I think what you finally realize, at least the first step anyway for me, is what's missing was me being my authentic self, right? Like me being able to show up as Lani Medina, the corporate M&A deal lawyer, who happens to be an introvert, and a really nice person. And here she is over 12 years later practicing law and doing it in her own way. And she's actually pretty good at it. And I think like once everybody can kind of get to that place, that's the first step.
I like the way you just describe yourself. It's like the best short way to describe who you are, easily and very understandable. But when it's come about the law firm itself, is all the lawyers focusing on corporate law, or is it the firm have different type of services that it offers?
Oh, no. So here at Barton, we have a very strong commercial litigation practice here. I happen to be one of the transactional attorneys here. We actually have 3 different offices. I work out of the main office in New York City, but we also have an office in Nashville, Tennessee, and one in Los Angeles. And we're more or less a full practice law firm here. So we have a very strong employment team as well. We have a tax team here, and so even though we're a smaller group, I think that's what makes us better in a sense, because our deals are leanly staffed. We cater to the needs of our clients, and our we believe in value-based lawyering, basically, which, for me personally means that we're looking out for the client's interest. And especially now, and maybe we'll get to this point topic at some point, but in the age of generative AI, it's really changed the way, we're practicing. It's changed everything, really. And so I think now more than ever, we as lawyers have to start thinking about what additional value can we add to our clients. And I don't think that's really specific to just the law practice. I think it's in general, actually. And I want to be a part of that conversation.
So it sounds like the law firm put people first before money. The clients come first before anything else.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, the money in theory comes, later, right? I think the point is to make sure that our interests are aligned with our clients' interests. And in providing excellent services and being empathetic to our clients and attentive to their needs, in doing that, you are focusing on the client, but at the same time, it's a win-win situation in theory, right, for everyone. Because I want a client to be happy, not upset when they're paying the legal bills, you can't, some situations you can't avoid, but I want to feel good. Like, I don't want to feel like the client thought I ripped him or her off. You know what I mean? Because I really care about what I'm
Exactly.
doing, and I take pride in what I'm doing.
Oh, you don't have to tell me once, because the way you described yourself earlier, I thought you made it very clear that I love what I do and I do it right because it's my
Yeah.
passion. And that's what I get out of that.
I mean, yeah, thank you. I mean, what I really have to say, if I had to say, like, I had a message, at least for me personally, I think, I look at myself as a lawyer with a heart. And I know that sounds crazy. For me, I look at it as like, that's my super strength. I try to practice law in accordance with my core values. And one of them is to be kind and compassionate. And it's really funny because when I wanted to become a lawyer, people told me, "Oh, Lani, you're too nice. You want to become a lawyer? You're too nice to become a lawyer." And I had that narrative, but I'm stubborn. I wanted to do it and I did it. And, now reflecting back, I realize is that these perceived weaknesses are things that I use to my advantage. Like in negotiations, for example, you can be kind. And at a certain point, that person on the other side is not going to want to be difficult with you. They're probably going to feel stupid.
Yeah.
The point of negotiation is art, deal making is art. I feel like what I do is art. And so it in terms of me practicing law, with kindness and compassion, I'm also doing it, from a perspective of a creative person, because I also consider myself a creative at heart as well. So that's infused in my practice.
But I
You
love
wouldn't
that,
think of
Lani,
that,
because
right? Like a deal lawyer
yeah,
who considers I'm working
yeah,
on a
you might not
contract
think of
draft
it.
and geeking out over it, but that's what I do.
Hmm.
That's my passion.
But I like that because I think what you pretty much just said is the fact that what people see in you as a weakness, you use it as your strength. That's what's kind of like make you the best Lani you can be. People see it, it's your weakness, but in reality, it's really your kindness. It's what make you best in what you do. It's what make you stronger. It's what make you um, I don't know, people love working with you. Again, I met a lot of lawyers, and they're usually a little bit too tough for me. It's like, can we never talk again after this? Because that's very uncomfortable conversation. I don't want to talk to you again. But it shouldn't be like that, right? Because we are people, and you want this client to come back to you, not just go to the next lawyer. And I think next time you have, maybe someone's just sold that company, perhaps 10 years later they might want to sell another one, and they will come back to you because they feel comfortable talking to you. They know that you'll be nice, you'll be kind, and you will value what they have to say to you. And I think that's important in my point of view.
Thank you. I really appreciate you saying that. It means a lot to me because I care about what I do. And it is true. The hope, of course, is, I'm building a relationship. So, of course, there's a business side of it. I'm not going to lie. But the point is, in theory, you're building a relationship with clients. In theory, for me, I want to work with small businesses and startups and other in-house counsel. And you start with them, very early in the process. And the idea is that, as the business grows and, whatever moves they decide to make and decisions they have to, or challenges they're faced with, like, I want to be there to help them because it makes me feel good.
Exactly. So, but Lani, what attracted you to specialize to focus in corporate law? Why corporate law? Why not criminal or I don't know, say anything else?
I didn't plan it. Again, you gotta remember, I didn't really know what lawyers did. In some ways, I still can't believe
True.
I'm a lawyer, but the truth is I didn't want to be in corporate law. I wanted to be a litigator. I thought that I was going to be one of those, people working on these fancy briefs, but, late at
Mm.
nights. And that's not what happened. My first firm, God bless them, K&L Gates, they had a need and they put me in the corporate group. And I learned how to work on deals. And I really, I really attribute my foundation as a corporate transactional attorney to the mentors that I had at K&L Gates. I actually reached out to one yesterday. I saw him and, I didn't plan it, but it actually works out because in terms of my personality, I think my personality and skill set are better suited to transactional work where it's very solutions oriented. It can be adversarial, but compared to litigation, it's not. It's a different mindset that you have to be a deal lawyer.
But earlier you spoke a little bit about AI, and I know that AI is changing the way for everyone. I'm assuming law firm is one of them as well. So how exactly law firms are using AI? What's the
What's
what's the
going
deal
on with
behind it?
law firms and AI? It's such an
Yeah.
interesting time for us as lawyers. I'll be honest, I I wasn't interested in the AI space until last year. Um, when I finally got, wind of what ChatGPT is and what it's about, I realized that this is going to change everything. And I didn't want to get lost, in technology. So
Mhm.
I wanted to embrace it. Um, I would say, it's evolving right now. What's happening, with AI and law firms. A lot of firms like Barton are advising clients on, how to use AI because a lot of businesses are deciding to use, AI, and now you're having to come up with a strategic business plan in order to implement that. And how we're advising clients, is changing because it's evolving in time because there are no federal laws in place to regulate this directly, and then there's stuff going on with the EU, and so in a sense it's kind of like the wild west, um and which is another reason why I'm excited to kind of be in this space. Like, I want to be known as a thought leader in what I'm calling the AI/M&A space. But the truth
Ooh.
is what I'm saying to you today, a year from now, we could be having a completely different conversation. That's how I really feel about it. And I think it's important for lawyers to, I wouldn't say, I guess embrace it, but we also have to be careful about using this tool and advising our clients on privacy and cybersecurity concerns. But at the same time, I don't think we can just ignore it at some point. We can't
Yeah,
ignore it
but
anymore. It's here.
it's here. It's here. I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon. Anytime soon either. But the question is that when you talk about advising your client, so what kind of trouble as business owners can we get into by using AI?
Well, the type of trouble they can get into, for example, definitely in the privacy area, right? Like I have collaborated with one of my colleagues, Kenneth Rauschbaum here. We've written an article that was published in Bloomberg. There is definitely a lot of concerns about privacy laws and cybersecurity, especially with the technology is continuing to evolve, and so we can't even keep up with how to advise clients because the technology is moving so fast. At the same time, we cannot tell clients, they cannot use it, right? All we can do really is advise clients on risk, and best practices, and how to ethically use AI. But to be honest, it's a moving target at this point.
So can you give me an example of one risk that can be? For example, maybe copy paste or something the AI wrote that's not proper, that we need to be careful, that the text is not coming from another place, they just give it to you, you don't even realize it. Um, what can be the risk that we are taking?
Well, for example, let's say an employer wants to use an AI tool for their employment making decisions, right? In New York City, for example, and I'm not an employment lawyer, but there's a statute that basically that certain businesses have to follow if they implement artificial intelligence in their employment practices. And one concern in that area, for example, is that the artificial intelligence can exhibit sort of discriminatory behavior in selecting
Mhm.
job candidates to be interviewed, for example, right? And that's, I'm not a litigator, to be honest, but my job as a transactional attorney would be to make sure that the language in the applicable policy or agreement will not, well, I guess will decrease the risk of your lawsuit liability. But there are other things that, practically speaking, businesses will do to protect against the risk is basically, you're getting insurance, for example. If you're going to use an AI tool, then you need to get insurance for that. But now the world of insurance is also changing as well, right? Insurers are not, I don't know how they're, what arguments they're making, but I would imagine that they're going to try to come up with excuses not to support the claim. So anyway, it's all of these sort of practical things, I guess, that people don't think about, that now we're starting to have to think about, I guess is how I would put it. And those are just two small examples.
Yes. But do you believe that eventually over the years, AI will be taking over some of the human works, like the things that we used to do? Like, for example, let's use human resources.
I don't, I don't think, I think initially the conversation about generative AI was this, maybe I guess the concern that it might take our jobs as lawyers. I don't, this is just my personal opinion, of course. I don't think that's necessarily the concern anymore, but I do think is that lawyers who don't either use or embrace AI in some way, meaning like lawyers who don't become AI literate, meaning they don't, learn how to advise clients or even use it, they're going to be left behind by the ones, by the lawyers that do embrace AI. I think that's the more realistic, um, I guess, prediction I have for what's to come. But I honestly don't know.
We just have to wait and see and get ready for it.
Yeah.
So, how do you approach diversity and inclusion within your legal practice?
It's a really good question. I'm just pausing because it's such a meaningful thing for me to reflect and think about. Because, I was born and raised in the Bronx, and I'm a Puerto Rican female, first lawyer in the family. And my path to becoming a lawyer is completely non-traditional. Even now in my practice, in terms of diversity, I still find it hard to believe that I'm one of the few, females or Latinas in this corporate M&A space. Like, I'm proud of myself, but it's also, a little bit sad to me. And so the way I guess I bring into my diversity into my practice, not only in terms of my, my views, shaped by my experiences based on my ethnicity, based on my military experience, my higher education background. I think the way I do it, I think I feel like an obligation to just kind of show up as myself. And I guess I hope that somehow by showing up authentically as my imperfect self, somehow I am, able to serve as an inspiration to other people. For me, I think it's really important to I've mentioned this before, but to pay it forward. And so I look to be really involved with mentorships, and not only from a business perspective, but also because it makes me feel good. Diversity is really important to me. I started out in higher education working at the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences in their minority recruitment program. So, it's a fundamental part of who I am. And I think it shapes me and makes me unique in some of my views. But at the same time, I think it's also helps me to see other people's perspectives as well. Because when you're different, you're so aware of your surroundings. And I think that's okay. It's okay to be different.
It is. It is. It's good to be different. I'm different.
Yeah, I
when
agree.
when I'm walking in that room, I'm here. You know I'm here.
Yeah.
But I'm different though. That's why you know I'm here. So it's a good thing, And I think that if every lawyers can think like you, Lani, we'll have a lot of good lawyers in this world.
Oh my gosh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I think, we get a bad rap. There are a lot of good lawyers out there, but we're in a profession where, a lot of us are stressed, and we experience anxiety, and it's
Yes,
hard for people to kind of show up as they, really
really
are
are.
at work because of that. But, my hope, I guess, as I continue to grow my practice, I want to, I guess, in some ways be a disruptor. I'm looking to sort of change what people think about what lawyers look like and how they operate. I think, my message is to tell people that it's okay to be different and to embrace your authenticity.
Absolutely. What advice would you offer to young women starting their careers in law?
Advice for career in law, okay. I would definitely say look for mentors. But when I mean mentors, I'm talking about informal and formal mentors. I'm talking about, people who are lawyers and non-lawyers. You want to build
Mm,
those relationships early on and maintain them. These are your people. I would also say, you know, don't be afraid to show up and give your opinions. I think, as young lawyers they're afraid, and they think a lot of times they don't follow their intuition, their gut. And big part of I think, our practice is to learn to do that. And it's a constant, I guess, process of speaking up and learning how to communicate with people, and also to connect with your clients. I think these are all important things that young attorneys need to learn how to do early on. So having a mentor for that is important, but then also not being afraid to kind of take calculated risk at some point as well. Because if you're looking to advance your career, you're going to feel uncomfortable. You have to feel
You're gonna need to take some
uncomfortable,
rest.
and you got to get comfortable with the decision that you're going to be uncomfortable, and it's okay.
That's okay too. So how can people reach out to you and also the firm?
Oh, okay, great. Well, my email address at Barton is lmedina at bartonesq.com. People can also reach out to me on LinkedIn. You can find me at Lani Medina. The firm is what is it? We're at bartonesq.com, and I'm ready to hear what you have to say. I'm growing my practice right now, so it's an exciting time for me. So feel free to email me or message me on LinkedIn, and I look forward to hearing from you. Hopefully.
And I'm pretty sure whoever reach out to you, you're gonna make them feel very comfortable because you have that when someone is in your space, the person feel welcome,
Thank
feel
you.
your space feel calm. It feels it's like when you see a river, the river is very calm down, but at the same time it's still moving. That is the way you are. That's how people feel around. That's how I feel around you. Just talking to you, it feels calm. It feels relaxing. It feels like it's okay. I'm safe
Oh my
with
God,
the person I'm talking
I
to.
really appreciate that you said that. It means a lot to me because one of the things I value is my peace. I find, I take walks throughout the day, mindful walks, and it's really important for me to have that time to kind of clear my head because I'm really intentional about my communications. It's not that it's like, because when I think about like negotiations, for example, for me, it's like an art form, but people get mad in negotiations. Things
True.
happen. It's not like I don't have those feelings, but what I've learned is like, I'm trying to not react to them because doesn't really serve me because I'm looking, I'm always looking to the end goal. And so anyway, maintaining my peace and being relaxed is as much as I can in such a stressful profession is important to me. And it also makes me a better lawyer, in my opinion, because it helps me to think better. I want to, if you're frazzled and stressed, you can't think straight. And I want to be an efficient lawyer, and be able to think quickly and feel good about my decisions. So anyway, I'm glad that you mentioned that. I mean, it means a lot to me because it's something that I work at intentionally every day.
Yeah, and I think also it's a good thing for you too as well. Like you said earlier, with a lot of stress, eventually as a lawyer you get burned out, right? And then you become that person people are looking to see every day. For example, when it's talking about negotiation, you become that person like, let's get it done, Joe. Like, let's get to business. No, my client do not want that. And you become that like, what I mean, person. Don't get me wrong, it can be a good thing, but also it can be a very bad thing. Yeah, you get your client the best deal by being the meanest person in the world, but how do you think both parties felt after that? Like, they were around very aggressive environments. It's like it's very, I don't know. I met a lot of lawyers, and sometimes the way they talk, it's like, am I talking to a lion?
No,
I feel like they're like roaring to me. It's like, can you talk like human? Like, be calm. Because one thing that I learned as a child is the fact that, like you said it earlier, is being angry, being stressed doesn't really serve you anything. Actually, for a matter of fact, you're just shorting your lifetime. That's all you are doing because you're putting too much emotion into your body itself. So yeah, I love the way you are. You calm, you're peaceful. Even the way you talk, it's peaceful. It's like you are talking in a way that it's not aggressive, it's welcome, but at the same time, I can imagine when people listening to it, it's mean business. Just because I'm calm, don't take advantage of me. It's just that's the way I am because I'm trying to live a peaceful life. So stay the way you are because I think that lesson can pass on to other women because in corporate world we just stress ourselves, right?
Mhm.
We go home, we stress, we angry, we mad. We can't even have a peaceful weekend, for God's sake, because we're always like so much into our shoulders, and 99.9% they mean nothing to us at all, because they're not gonna get us anywhere. It's just a bunch of stress. If you have no control over something, I don't see the reason why you need to worry about it. So I love your way.
No, thank you. I mean, I think, what did I say? Like, I sort of chuckled when you said something about difficult personalities because I'm like, Lord, I know that. Um, I think for me, it's also helpful to kind of not take yourself too seriously. So of course, for me, it's part of the gamesmanship, and that's why I know I really love things like negotiations. It's like, oh, it's just part of negotiations. Like, I'm not going to take this too seriously because that's his problem or her problem, not mine. But I think it's also, important to keep that in perspective too, but anyway, I do think, it's important for other lawyers to know that it's okay to be empathetic. It's okay to admit that you're a nice person. It's not necessarily a weakness. I'm from the Bronx, so you can't tell me, I have book smarts, but I have street smarts too.
Yes.
Um, so anyway, in closing, I just want to thank you for this opportunity. I'm I'm excited, to see where things, go for me for the next year. I'm building my practice now. I'm starting working on a passion project that I'm going to be rolling out soon. And so, I guess I would like people to know that it's okay to be different, and you can actually use it to your advantage.
Absolutely. And thank you so much, Lani, for giving me that chance to talk to you, to get to know a little bit and to be around that peaceful mind of yours. And I appreciate it. And what you are doing to supporting other women, and it's important. So we need to keep on paving for the next generation. And I thank you for what you do.
I thank you for what you're doing as well. We all have to support each other. So it's all about being a community. So thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to Female Founders Podcast. That's it for this week's episode. Be sure to follow us on your favorite podcast app or connect with us on womel.com so that you don't miss our next episode. See you next time. Bye for now.